Just flip the mics on and take the reins and go for it, huh?
He's like, I think tonight might be the night I watch Wolf of Wall Street, and I quickly replied with, fuck you.
That's right.
Once we get the grill, I'll make a beer can chicken.
Maybe we'll get like a sponsorship out of Weber or something, you know? Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be nice.
How about that for a 2-year stretch? Good Will Hunting and Saving Private Ryan back-to-back years. Talk about being on top of the world as a young actor.
Hold my beer. All right, so we're recording.
We are recording. All right. Levels are good?
Levels look kosher.
Kosher?
Kosher.
Okay, I'll take kosher. All right.
I don't think that donut was kosher.
No, it certainly wasn't. No way that was kosher. But Garage Party Podcast Episode 2. Here we are. Episode 2. Who would have thought we would have made it this far?
Got it in a notebook.
Yeah, I do. I wrote right at the top. GPP Ep 2. No trying to crack that code, huh? Ep 2. Who would have thought we would have made it this far, huh? It's always nice. You think you're going to have a podcast. It's great. You get the first one out of the way. The real sustainability means getting at least 2 episodes under your belt.
Is it?
Probably not. Probably like 100 episodes would be real sustainability.
Sounds about right.
You got to have 2 before you can have 3. You got to have 3 before you can have 100. We're on the path.
All straight facts.
We're on the path.
All straight facts.
That's right. We're on the path. Not only is today Garage Party Podcast Episode 2 recording day, and we're going to be posting this tonight, so I can give the date. Today is Friday, June 5th. Friday, June 5th. Had to take a second to look at my iPhone there. I didn't know the day. You know, during this quarantine, you lose track of the days. Friday, June 5th, and we're going to be posting this tonight. Very exciting news since the last time that we came to you in Episode 1, which we recorded, 3 days ago?
Yeah, I think
3 days ago.
Yeah, it was on Wednesday.
Some exciting news. Tuesday, right. So some exciting news. We basically told you in the previous episode that we were going to try to be available on several streaming platforms. We just didn't know which ones it was going to be. We didn't know if it was going to be, we just wanted to make sure we didn't drop any names just in case there were some bumps in the road. But for the most part, I want to say, has gone smoothly.
I think everything's gone.
I don't think there's been one bump in the road. So you can find us pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Soundcloud. And you can find us on YouTube. YouTube, obviously, we'll throw together.
If there's other places that you listen to podcasts and you can't get us on, I'll figure out a way.
Yeah, let us know.
We want to be everywhere.
Yeah, let us know. GaragePartyPodcast@gmail.com if you want to get in contact with us. Also, you can DM us straight on Instagram. Just slide right into our DMs and let us know. Listen, I can't hear you, so. Although, would they really be, they wouldn't know to DM us if they can't hear us. So that's kind of a moot point, right?
That's a predicament.
Yeah.
It's catch-22.
Interesting. So I guess if you can't hear us on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, or iTunes,
fuck you.
Then you're out. You're just out. You're not going to hear the Garage Party Podcast, which, teach his own. If that's not your thing, it's not your thing. But I think we've put ourselves out there on so many platforms. If you can't find us, then you're out of luck.
I recently just did the Google podcast to appease some of our Android-using friends.
Yeah, I don't know if I care for that too much.
Hey, so what? Put it on.
Google Podcast? Can't the Android
Google
people
Play?
Still get us on Spotify or YouTube or SoundCloud
They're
for
all
that
hipsters,
matter?
.
The only thing that the Android people are excluded from is the iTunes. Right?
Yeah.
I guess you could have an Android but still have an iTunes account, though.
Because people still get their music from iTunes on
Right.
their computer, and then they put it on their phone or device and whatnot. So they still have iTunes.
Well, all right.
It's just some of these hipsters.
Some of these hipsters, they like to hold out. They don't want to join the modern world. Not shouting out any particular friend of ours with a name that starts with a P and ends with a L, with an A and the U in between. Not to mention any names. Did not want to join the iPhone world. Has no interest.
Manano.
That's right. That's right.
Getting comfy over here. I'm kicking the shoes
comfy.
off.
It's National
It's
Donut
episode
Day,
2.
Billy. It's episode 2.
We're veterans.
Get comfortable.
We are podcast veterans.
We really are vets of the podcast game. So it's episode 2 here on the Garage Party Podcast. We got a lot to cover today. Because we're posting this tonight, we're going to give you a UFC 250 preview later on. Some good fights going on there tomorrow night is it Vegas?
Yeah, I think it's in Vegas at the PI, the Performance Institute.
Okay, so no fans, obviously, once again. But it's good to have the UFC, something to watch at least once a week. You get the fight nights, then you get the UFC 250, and something to watch.
And they've been consistent. They've They're testing everybody.
They have been consistent.
They've managed to keep their product visible and going
Right.
during all of this. And I think they've done like a couple thousand tests amongst their staff and their fighters.
Right, because each fighter has like a staff of like 10, don't they?
Which they did put restrictions on. So like it'll
Okay.
be like, they can bring a training partner or two for like, getting warmed up and stuff, and then I think only one or two cornermen.
Okay.
So there's no entourages rolling in with anybody anymore, but they still got what they need.
Right. So we'll get to that a little bit later on. We're going to preview the whole event, give you an overview of what to look for. We're going to get into.
What I'm really curious about is.
Yeah, I know where this is going. So I have. Should I call it half a good answer for you and half not so good?
I don't like half good answers.
Half good answer, half not so good. Okay, well, if this is your first time tuning in episode 1 titled Beer Can Chicken, which once again you can now find on Spotify,
Like that
SoundCloud,
name, right?
YouTube, or
I
iTunes.
like that name.
That was very good. Nicely done by you. We did not correlate whatsoever on the title, but Billy took the reins and absolutely hit a grand slam with the title of
Could
the
have
last.
just been episode 1.
No. Now here's the interesting
Let's keep
part,
it going.
because now you got to keep it up, right? So you've been able to do it once, episode 1. Can you do it with episode 2
Yeah, I think I already got a name for the next one. But
already?
go ahead.
Nice. Okay.
No,
Well,
go ahead
don't
with what
reveal
you were
it
saying.
yet.
Yeah. No.
So in episode 1, titled Beer Can Chicken, having nothing to do with Beer Can Chicken, we got into a conversation about whether or not Matt Damon was a child actor. And the answer was no, he was not. He had some movies early on, The Rainmaker, and he had that really solid 3-year stretch with Good Will Hunting, Saving Private Ryan, and Rounders 3 years in a row. Absolutely nailed it. But then we were able to get into a different conversation about Leonardo DiCaprio, who, unlike Damon, was a big child star. And Billy brought up a movie that he thought he knew. He was like, you know what? I remember DiCaprio was a child actor. He played a heroin addict. And I said, I'd never heard of it. Long story short, because we live in a technological age now, we looked it up on IMDb, and sure enough, it does exist. The name of the movie was Basketball Diaries. So long story short, Billy, knowing me and knowing that I'm not the type of person to stick to my word, bet me that I wouldn't watch the movie Basketball Diaries before we recorded this second episode. Later on in the podcast, it expanded to
He's stalling.
would I watch the movie Rounders, which is a movie with Matt Damon and Ed Norton. So we kind of had, would you call it a parlay going, where I had to watch both movies, but you had odds on me watching one but not the other. You said that there was a better chance. Yeah, I think, again, in our Garage Party podcast notebooks, I think Billy wrote down the odds. He's going to check right now.
Yeah, so I had you at 15-1 to watch Rounders.
Okay.
And then a 50-1 long shot to watch Basketball Diaries.
Okay, well, you know what? You and Vegas are right on par, because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Wednesday night, sat down around 11 o'clock at night, threw on Rounders, Amazon Prime, shout out to them. Threw on Rounders.
They need the shout out.
They need the shout out. Nobody knows who they are. Threw on Rounders. Absolutely loved every second of this movie. I thought it was great.
It's very good.
I thought it was great. One of the things that I wanted to discuss about Rounders specifically, John Malkovich's Russian accent. It's so terrible that it's great.
It's bad good.
Right. It's
I don't think is it a I guess he calls him the
his name is Teddy KGB.
Yeah.
So he's definitely he's portraying a Russian person.
He doesn't sound Russian.
No, he sounds like John Malkovich trying to do a Russian accent, which is exactly what's happening. But it's so bad that it works. It works for the movie. I loved it. I was in on it the whole time.
I like when he throws the Oreo cookies.
Well, that's his tell.
Yeah,
You find out later on in the movie. And I'm not going to worry about giving away spoilers. The movie's 25 years old. If you haven't seen it by now, it might even be older than 25 years old. 1998. 2008. No. It's old. I'm not going to worry about spoilers. We'll leave it at that. I really enjoyed the movie. You put it at 15-1 that I would watch it. I did. Now we can shift to Basketball Diaries,
which you did not watch.
I did not watch. Now, my plan was to watch it last night. And this is going to sound really bad for me, because this is the reputation that I've garnered over the last couple of years with Billy and with some of my other friends. The reputation that I've garnered is a person who will not watch something new, but that will rewatch something that I've seen 10 million times over and over and over again. And I'm sad to admit that once again I fell into that rabbit hole. That's exactly what happened to me last night. I sat down on the couch. I was all expecting to watch
what'd we go
Basketball
with?
Diaries. Catch Me If You Can.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. It's on. It's like, how do you turn it
You're
off?
still a piece of shit, but
Yeah, well, I'm not arguing that. But Catch Me
I
If You
mean,
Can. It's on.
you
Next
didn't
thing
make
you
the
know,
wrong choice. But you made a bet,
I made a bet and I lost. Yeah. So the bet was a bottle of Buffalo Trace whiskey.
which is a phenomenal whiskey.
Phenomenal
for
whiskey.
Any of you other whiskey drinkers out there?
Also, Buffalo Trace, if they want to sponsor us along with Weber and some of these other places, we're all ears.
Yeah.
We're all ears. The Garage Party Podcast, we're open to negotiations. By all means, contact us, garagepartypodcast@gmail.com.
I think we'd have to contact them.
Most likely. Yeah. Maybe when we get to what do you got to get to episode 3 for them to contact us? What do you think? We got to get big enough. What do we got to have? How many episodes before we can get contacted
I think
by
it's more about viewership,
conglomerate?
but that's something we could talk about off the air.
Off the air. Okay. Well, I tell you what. I lost the bet. I owe you a bottle of Buffalo Trace. Now, the next time we record,
I made that bet. I knew it was a win-win.
yeah, you really,
I was either gonna look really smart, drink a bottle of Buffalo Trace with my friend Rich.
Yep.
Or I'd be proven wrong and drink a bottle of
drink a
Buffalo
bottle
Trace.
of Buffalo Trace. Right. So you were making the bet. You knew that it was a no-lose situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and sure enough, you were right. The next time we record the episode, there will be a bottle of Buffalo Trace sitting right here on the table. Maybe we should hit that post-recording just so that things don't
I
get
think
during. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So God only knows what episode
Get a
3 is
little-
going to turn into. As we
a
sit
little
here.
bucket of ice.
Yeah.
Keep it pouring.
Keep it pouring. Okay. I like that. All right. Episode 3, there'll be a bottle of Buffalo Trace here because I lost my bet. I did not watch Basketball Diaries. I once again decided to watch Catch Me If You Can, which is an excellent film, but it got me again. It got me again. Once again.
It's just who you are as a person.
It really is. I hate that I've garnered this reputation, but I fully understand it. It's like, people are you know why you got it, but I don't like it. I know why people say it about me, but God, it's annoying.
It's not your worst quality.
It's annoying. No, I know. There's so many other worst qualities about me. But sitting down and watching Catch Me If You Can, I mean, is that really a lose? Come on. It's one of the best movies of all time.
I'd say it's not a lose, but in this term, yes, it is a loss. You lost it.
I mean, I was sitting here on the couch, and when Catch Me If You Can ended, which, it's a hefty movie. That's another movie. It's about 2 hours and 15 minutes, maybe 2.5 hours. I'm sitting there. The movie's
Might
over.
be close to 3.
It might be close
It's a
to
long
3,
movie.
right. I'm sitting there. I watched the whole thing, and I sat on the couch, and as the credits were rolling on Catch Me If You Can, I said, son of a bitch.
I knew when you were texting
did
me
it
to
again.
play Warzone that you probably weren't thinking at all about Basketball Diaries.
Yeah. You know what it is? And this goes back to my days in school. I'm a big procrastinator. I like to put things off until the last minute. So if I know we're recording today at 4:30 and I got to watch a movie, I'll say, all right, whatever, I'll watch it at 2. And it'll end right as you walk in and we get ready to record. Instead of doing it the previous 3 days that I had to watch the film, I don't know. It's just by the grace of God that I happen to watch Rounders. Just by the grace of God. I sat
You were
here.
talking about watching that way longer than you were.
Yeah, it was 11 o'clock at night. I threw it on, and then it's the kind of movie where it sucks you in right away, and then, after that I was good. I knew then that I was hooked and I was going to finish.
Did you
the whole
feel
thing.
out of the loop with like the poker references and stuff?
No, that was one of my main concerns, and we talked about that in episode 1. I am not a card guy whatsoever. I don't know anything about cards and nothing about Texas Hold'em
me
poker,
neither.
which are some of the the big card games that they have in this film. But they do a great job of explaining it to you where you don't need to know. You don't need to be able to.
He dumbs it down. He waters it down.
He dumbs it down. Johnny Chan, I'm assuming, is a real professional
the real like
poker
reigning
World Series champion
Yeah,
of poker,
the
right?
real guy.
He had a nice cameo in the movie. Couple of good cameos in this movie. Michael
Wonder if he speaks
Rispoli,
English.
Johnny Chan.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He doesn't look like he does.
If he does, maybe we can get him on for an interview. Talk about his time.
Yeah, let's not.
Why not? What could he possibly be doing now?
Playing poker, making money, not talking to us. Especially even if he doesn't talk English.
That movie was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, he's probably still playing poker.
Is playing poker the kind of job that takes you away from doing an interview?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Those
We'll
kinds
see.
of guys are not doing interviews.
You don't think so?
No. Those guys are like nonstop.
Challenge accepted. I'm reaching out to Johnny Chan's people. I'm trying to get him on the Garage Party podcast.
Go ahead.
I'm going to reach out.
All right.
We'll see what happens.
Episode 3.
Episode 3. Maybe we'll have Johnny Chan. Most likely we won't. But, hey, we're going to take a shot. I want to hear about his time on set with Matt Damon.
Do we really want to talk to him?
What's that?
We just said we know nothing about cards. We want to talk to one of the most prolific card players.
See, that might be the in for us. That might be the in. We don't want to talk about his days playing cards. I want to talk about his experience on set with Matt Damon when they're filming that scene together with the eyes staring at each other. That's what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about his days playing poker.
It's a good fucking scene.
It's a great scene. Seminal moment of the film. That's what I want to talk about. We're not asking for an hour and a half of his time to talk about his skills playing poker. Nobody cares about that. It's been well documented. The guy's been a champion for the last 30 years. I want to talk about the scene in Rounders. I'm reaching out to Johnny Chan. You sit there and drink your Buffalo Trace. I'm reaching out to Johnny Chan. I'm trying to get him on the show.
Gladly.
Yeah. We're going to see what happens.
All right.
We'll see what happens. If we get him,
I got
great.
a hunch. I'll write it down there. And
well, so far
write
you've
the
been
odds down.
yeah, in your red Garage Party podcast notebook. I want to know what you put the odds on of us getting Johnny Chan on this program. All right. Write them down in the notebook because your odds for me watching Rounders
or
were
wait
good.
till next week?
No, wait till next week because I don't want to know the odds. If I know the odds of stock to get
I'm just gonna title this page "Odds Rich is a moron." That's what I'm putting at the header of this page.
Well, that's 1-1.
I'm putting that in quotes.
Yeah. I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna reach out to Johnny Chan's people.
All right.
We need a producer for the Garage Party podcast. If for nothing else, just so that
We're
I can.
2 episodes in. We're talking about
I know.
producers.
If for nothing else, this way I can just yell at them and be like, "Get Johnny Chan's people on the line." I've always wanted to do that. Get Johnny Chan on the line.
I mean, you could fake it.
Yeah, I guess the people don't know we don't have a producer.
Yeah, Ralphie.
Ralph, get Johnny Chan's people on the line. Make sure they're here for episode 3. Try to do an in-person interview. We could sit on the couch and drink Buffalo Trace with us. Very interesting.
I like my estimate here.
Yeah, something tells me it's not going to happen.
And it's for episode 3?
Now, I think if we can get him, we get him. Give me like a 5-episode stretch. Who's to say Johnny Chan's not booked up?
All right, I'm going to keep my odds the same.
I mean, it is a quarantine. If we're going to get him, I guess now's the time, right? I mean, what's he doing? Can't play poker in a quarantine. Can you? Is that a social distance sport?
I feel like online is huge, but a lot of those original like World Series guys, they don't play the online thing. You know, like their straight in-person thing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So like,
But some of those online pokers, like I was listening to this interview with what's his name, Dan Bilzerian, who also made a lot of his money on poker, and he was saying he just like can't even. Some of the like actual real poker players can't even keep up with some of those online guys just based on how many hands they see a day.
Well,
because some of them play, 12 to 15 games at a time. So you're seeing so many hands, your game is getting that much sharper as you go.
Right. Well, my question for Johnny Chan, not if we get him on the program, when we get him on the program, my question for Johnny Chan would be, is it difficult to play poker online when you can't look the person in the eye? Because the being able to read the person sitting across from you, that's 90% of the game. If Rounders taught me anything about cards, it's that. You got to be able to notice a tell on somebody. If you're playing online, that whole portion of the game is just taken out of context.
I feel like it's almost 2 different genres.
Yeah, well, it's not the same game.
Yeah.
It's more about the cards you're dealt. I mean, for lack of a better term, I mean the game is about the cards you're dealt, but it's more so about that if you can't actually see the person that you're playing with. I would imagine. I don't know. All good questions for Johnny Chan when he comes on the show.
I mean, in some of those online things, I feel like you could still bluff. You could still call do all these different some of the strategies.
Can you? If you can't see
you can have
person,
a shitty hand and keep calling and even raise, and then they think you have a high hand and they're gonna fold. But it's still the same premise.
But if we're playing in person and you every time you have a bad hand you scratch your nose, it takes that away. And I recognize that. I'm skilled enough to recognize that. That's gone. That's what the whole point of Rounders is. He's able to again, I'm not going to worry about spoilers because the movie's 25 years old. The whole point of Rounders is John Malkovich, with his god-awful Russian accent, twists the Oreos a certain way when he has a good hand, and then he twists them a different way when he has a bad hand. That whole portion of the game is eliminated if you're an online poker player.
But I think the premise of being able to call and bluff and this and that is still like obviously there's no tells.
But it's not the same as in person.
Yeah, you can't read the person.
Right.
Or maybe there's chat rooms and they're like,
So if the person misspells a word, that's
like,
that's their tell. Do you like Dan? Yeah. Inside joke here with Billy on his Xbox days. You want to get into what that really means?
They don't know about the enda?
The enda?
The end of the stick?
That's right. Maybe we don't drop that on Johnny Chan when he comes on the show. Ralphie, make sure we get Johnny Chan.
Johnny Chan is a big the enda guy.
Yeah. You think so?
Yeah, I think he's a big the enda guy.
You think he speaks English?
Look it up. I am curious.
Johnny Chan seems like
he doesn't have a word in the movie. Right? He doesn't have any lines. He just nods.
He does just nod. Not getting much from Google search.
Ed, does he speak English?
Does Johnny Chan speak English?
Or type in Johnny Chan interview, see what we're working with there.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to hear it, though, on the podcast.
Yeah, that's fine. But we'll at least see if he speaks English. I'm going to go...
Oh, okay. Okay, here we go. So this is just a little blurb that Google's given me here. So apparently Johnny Chan did not speak much English when he first came to the United States, but he picked it up along the way as he attended school and acclimated to American culture. One American pastime he did learn quickly was bowling. So how about that? Johnny Chan great at bowling and great at poker.
All right, Johnny Chan with the wrist.
Interesting. We can ask him about his bowling career when he comes on. Ralphie, make sure we ask Johnny Chan about the bowling.
Now, when it says 10 bracelets, is that the World Series of Poker, or is that a bowling thing?
Yeah, see, I don't know what any of that means. I have no idea what any of this means. This is all...
I'd imagine.
I'm looking.
I'd imagine he's not a world champion bowler, also. So that's got to be those 10 bracelets. It must be.
They have to be about poker. Yeah.
And you get a bracelet.
I guess.
I think we should look that up too.
You want to?
Let's see. What does this bracelet look like? Is it a real thing?
What do you win when you win the World Series of Poker?
That's a fair Google. Or you could even just type in World Series of Poker bracelet.
There it is.
Oh, that's a
considered the most coveted non-monetary prize a poker player can win. Since 1976, a bracelet has been awarded to the winner of every event at the annual World Series of Poker. Even if the victory occurred before 1976, World Series of Poker championships are now counted as bracelets.
Would you prefer that over a ring? I think I would.
No, I take the ring.
You take the ring?
Yeah. Ring to me has more of a I'm a champion feel, where a bracelet is more like...
Yeah, but
I really like
think
jewelry.
about being Johnny Chan wearing 5 of those. I'll post a picture of it later.
Yeah, we can post a picture of it on the...
5 of those up each arm, holding your cards, and them just getting intimidated as they see these golden forearms.
Yeah, wait until he posts this picture. These things are pretty wild.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I'd rather have the ring. I just think about Tom Brady
knowing you have a shit hand and looking across the table and seeing this guy glaring you with golden wrists.
Right. Pretty wild. But
I mean, the rings might do the same thing.
Well, of course. Well, the analogy I was about to use, Tom Brady, 6 rings. I mean, you're talking about 6 fingers with a giant Super Bowl ring on them.
Got some jewelry.
I mean, if you get like some of these championship rings now, you could barely see the finger. I mean, you're talking about a whole hand.
Is it still Joustins who makes those?
I have no idea. But you're talking about a whole hand and then a finger on the other hand, just absolutely clad in diamonds.
Yeah. Jordan as well.
Jordan as well, 6 rings. That's right. So, to
Bill
me,
Russell.
I'd rather the ring than the bracelet. We can throw this up for debate.
Yogi Berra.
Yogi Berra.
I think he's got 10.
Yeah, that would be... Well, yeah, but you see, with Yogi Berra, it's a little bit different, though, because Yogi, they weren't giving out nearly the type of rings that they give out these days. The rings that they give out these days are so...
incredible.
13-time world champion, Yogi Berra. 13 times.
As a player?
Yeah, 13 rings. 13 rings. Actually, I mean,
That's gotta be the
as a
most,
player and as a manager and as a coach. But 13 rings total.
Okay, so a couple. I think.
Regardless, he's got 13 rings.
Yeah.
But the rings then were not nearly as pronounced as they are now.
I feel like they were probably still pretty awesome.
Yeah, especially I guess now, right? Because now they must have like a nostalgic feel to them.
The old ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. When was he? Oh, those were like the '60s, right?
As a player, yeah, he played through the 40s, the
50s and
50s, and the
60s.
60s. That was kind of his heyday. He coached through the 70s and into the 80s a bit. Yeah, 13-time world champion. Think about 13 rings. You don't even have enough fingers to put that on.
No.
You got to have 3 toes wearing a ring.
That's like the. There's that old ESPN. Remember those ESPN Sports Center commercials?
Yeah, I had like This Is Sports Center. I used to love those.
Yeah, they had the Adam Vinatieri one of him going through the metal detector at the airport.
Oh yeah, because he's got all the rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that one.
Because he went 3 with the Patriots, 1 with the Colts.
Yeah, right.
He was just pulling them out of every orifice. But that was only 4.
One of the greatest kickers of all time.
13.
Yeah, 13. 13
I guess
rings.
you wear them as like on a bracelet.
I guess.
Or a necklace.
Maybe you melt them down, make them into a chain.
I don't know if you melt them down. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, it's not great. Well, hopefully we get Johnny Chan on to talk about these bracelets. I feel like that would be kind of cool. Ralphie, make sure that this happens, huh? Make sure we get him on.
Ralphie, make sure you photocopy my notes and highlight them for me.
Yeah. Make sure Johnny Chan sees his notes, too, so that he knows the odds are not
And then
great of him actually coming
Lucy is our transcriber.
on. We have a transcriber now, too. Wow.
Yeah, she's over there.
2 episodes in, we got a producer and a transcriber. The payroll's growing.
Yep. Couple
Nice.
interns.
Couple
One of
interns.
them's Miko.
What do they do? Miko? Miko's our intern. Yeah, he's pretty good. We send
Good potential from that kid, Miko.
Yeah, he'll be all right. He's a good kid, that Miko.
He did shit on the floor, but
Well, listen, he's an intern. That's why they're interns. That's why they're interns, you know?
But Lucy,
gotta
I
learn.
want everything Times New Roman and double spaced, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're a hard ass.
Hey.
Not great.
I like my things a certain way. You know, I like to read my transcribed notes that I'm not going to read
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
in a certain font, a certain size, and a certain spacing.
I'd be happy if Ralphie just books Johnny Chan.
Ralphie doesn't exist.
No, he doesn't. But neither does Lucy. The only one who actually exists is our intern, Miko.
And he's asleep.
And he's asleep. He's asleep on the job. All right. Johnny Chan, please come on. You know, I'm going to reach out to him, reach out to his people. I don't know how the hell I'm getting in contact with Johnny Chan. I don't know how I'm reaching out to him, but I got some time because he doesn't have to necessarily come on the next episode. He just has to be on a episode.
I said next 5. That's what I was giving you.
Next 5 episodes. That's 5 weeks. I got 5 weeks to come up with Johnny Chan. I have to produce Johnny Chan in the next 5 weeks.
It's actually sounding more and more likely. I might have to change my odds.
Mm-hmm. I mean, think about it. What is he doing right now? What could
he
Johnny
alive?
Chan... Billy, take it. You don't think I checked that first? We're going on a rant about 15 minutes
old
about
is
how
he?
we're getting him on the show, and he passed away a couple years
Does he
ago.
speak English? Did we get to that?
According to Google, he does. He's got 10, what has he got? 10 bracelets, and he's got millions of dollars.
He's got 10
one of the
bracelets
best
and a
World
speech
Series poker
impediment.
He does not have a speech impediment. He may. I don't know. Hopefully we find out if he does. That means that he came on the show. But you stay tuned. I'm going to try to reach out to Johnny Chan, see if we can get him on the show. I don't want to get into a whole thing about his days playing poker. I want to know about the bracelets. I want to know about the scene with Matt Damon, and maybe a few poker questions here and there. I don't want this to be just another interview that Johnny Chan has done. I doubt anybody has asked him about his scene with Matt Damon. Right? You think he's ever been asked about that?
We've done 0 research. So, Ralphie, get on this.
Yeah, this is all another job for Ralphie, who doesn't exist. And we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, I got 5 episodes to produce Johnny Chan. When I say it like that, it doesn't sound as unrealistic as it probably really is.
When you said 5 weeks, that's when it sounded, oh, wow, that's a lot of time.
Like,
to
I
keep
could actually
making.
do this?
Yeah. But
I
then
hope
again,
so.
you do procrastinate. So, you're going to wait till week 4.5.
Yeah. and then send an email to Johnny's people and be like, any chance he wants to come on with us?
If he even has a manager anymore.
He's 63 years old now. But I don't think poker players age, right? They just,
What does that mean?
Like, you could still be in your 70s and be a champion poker player, right? You're not like, oh, my God, he's 63 years old. He can't be good anymore.
Nah, maybe.
You might lose your touch?
Yeah, you might need to keep, like, your game sharp.
Well, we'll find out. I'm going to reach out to Johnny Chan. But anyway, I want to move on. We'll talk about Johnny Chan when he's on the show. Let's discuss UFC 250. So we're going to be posting this episode tonight. Tomorrow night, Saturday, June 6th, is going to be the night for UFC 250 taking place in Las Vegas. Empty arena, no fans in the building. The headline here is Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer. Now, you're the big UFC guy here. You've loved the sport for a long time. I've kind of jumped on the bandwagon within the last couple months, maybe the last year or so. I've jumped on the bandwagon even more. To me, Amanda Nunes seems unstoppable. Am I wrong in that take?
Right now, yeah.
Absolutely unstoppable. And when I looked up before, so this fight tonight, tomorrow night, is for the title. It's for the women's featherweight title, which is not an actual class. Is that correct? Because Felicia Spencer, when you look up the rankings on UFC, Amanda Nunes is the champion, but there's no other featherweight women fighters.
So, featherweight's a very new division.
Okay.
To UFC and women's MMA alone, there's just not that many women 145ers. In a couple other promotions, there are 45ers and 55ers, but on the UFC roster, there aren't that many. So a lot of the bantamweight fighters, the 135ers, are also, that may just be on the app. If you look at
No, because every other, if you go to women's bantamweight, I mean, she's also here. I guess she's Amanda Nunes has like two championships?
A lot of those bantamweights also fight at featherweight. Like Holly Holm has fought 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
There are some girls who fight primarily at featherweight, so that's just a bad job by the app, honestly.
Okay.
If you look at like a website like SureDog, is a big MMA blog that may have more accurate rankings. But yeah, there's a lot of talk going on about, like, because Conor McGregor really started it, about who is the MMA GOAT. Obviously, Conor said himself. He was mentioning, the likes of George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva. I think he even mentioned Daniel Cormier, John Jones, guys like that.
What was that other guy, that tiny Mighty Mouse?
Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson is definitely in the conversation.
Retired now?
No, he's fighting in Japan for ONE FC.
Okay. Interesting.
He actually got traded.
UFC can trade?
Yeah. So they traded Ben Askren, who is now retired, for Mighty Mouse Johnson straight up.
So how did UFC get anything out of that deal? They lost one of their best fighters and got a guy who's retired.
Well, Mighty Mouse was about to approach free agency, so he might have signed with ONE FC anyway, just because how much they're paying people these days, and there's a lot of, backlash to the UFC by the way they pay their fighters. So Mighty Mouse may have approached free agency anyway.
Okay.
And
so they just panicked and got something for him?
They got Ben Askren, who was, 19-0 at the time, and a huge, huge star over in ONE FC and Bellator and other promotions, but he was like supposed to get signed to the UFC a couple times and then just never did, and him and Dana had like a little a feud here and there. And then he goes and fights Robbie Lawler. It was a very controversial fight, controversial finish. I don't know if you saw that finish, but it was controversial finish. It looked like Robbie Lawler was out, so the ref stopped it, but really he was fine, and the ref ended up giving Askren the W because he stopped it. Obviously, it was like a short stoppage, but it's one of those things that can go either way.
Right.
And then he goes and fights Jorge Masvidal, and that was the fight where Jorge Masvidal produced the fastest UFC knockout of all time. It was 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
5 seconds with a flying knee.
Wow, that really is extremely fast.
It's one of the most remarkable finishes. If you type in Jorge Masvidal on YouTube, it's the first thing to come up, is his 5 second knockout.
Well, Conor McGregor knocked out Cowboy in, what was that, 16 seconds?
That was like 43 seconds. But he knocked out Jose Aldo in 14 seconds, which is the fastest championship fight finish.
Okay. So I'm assuming that.
But what I was going with that is a lot of talk about who's the GOAT in MMA. And I put Amanda Nunes in that conversation.
She's right up there. Right. So what I was about to say is that there has to be absolutely outstanding odds on Nunes to win this fight, but not only win it,
It's
but
probably like minus 400.
So I want to learn more about this Felicia Spencer. How did she get to be able to this? Who did she beat to get to this level to be able to even challenge Amanda Nunes for this title fight?
I haven't looked at their last couple fights.
I mean, she's 8-1, so she hasn't had a lot of fights. She's only 29 years old. I can look up like what her fights are.
Yeah,
but
go to like Sherdog.
She's not like a big name at least.
Type in Sherdog at the end of that, and we'll get her whole record and career. But it's kind of just, there's no one else for her to fight at this point. So it looks it's kind of like that point where John Jones got to. Okay, so she beat Megan Anderson. That's a good fighter. She beat. Oh, this is Amanda Nunes, right?
No, this is Felicia Spencer.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, she fought Cyborg. She lost to Cyborg. And she beat Zara Santos in February this year. So she's
won like a decent amount. I mean, she's won, what is this, 9 of her last 10?
The only fight she's lost is to Cyborg, Cristino. So
and her first fight, which way back in 2012. But I don't even think that's not even with the UFC. That wasn't even pro. That was as an amateur.
There reaches a point where you're so above your competition. Like Ronda Rousey was there too. She was finishing everybody.
Right.
There's just the next person below you is just so much further below you. You just get these people that are just getting thrown to the ringer.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. It seems to me that with the women's classes, it just seems as though there's a champion and then there's everybody else. But while that's the case, the top of the food chain in the UFC women's weight classes, basically all of them, can change like that. Even though that there's a big disparity, it can change like that because even if you look at the last 3 years, you look at who's been at the top. It's been Ronda Rousey. Holly Holm was up there for what? 8 months before she got overtaken by who'd she finally lose to?
It was Holly Holm.
Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey. Now we have Amanda Nunes. I mean, it just seems like it's like a rotating door almost, but the competition is so far and away from.
And then
if you're the champion,
Cyborg
you're
ended up leaving the UFC to go to Bellator, who got smoked by Amanda Nunes.
Okay.
Which I think was the fastest women's finish in a championship fight. Or it may have just been her weight class at bantam or featherweight.
Right. So this is, I mean, absolutely overwhelming odds tomorrow night on Amanda Nunes. And if you're listening to this episode, we're recording this on Friday. The fight taking place on June 6th tomorrow night, Saturday night.
Does it show the Vegas odds?
I'm sure we can pull those up. I mean, it seems to me as though this is Amanda Nunes to lose. If she goes down, would you consider this to be one of the biggest upsets in the last 5 years?
I don't know if it would be a huge upset because like anyone can lose on any given day, and obviously it's really hard to defend the belt. And at her weight class, like the higher weight classes, the more mistakes speak. So like a little mistake goes a long way.
Okay.
You can get caught with one punch.
But your pick is for Nunes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so while she may get caught with a punch, Nunes wins this fight, you think?
I just don't see anyone stopping her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pick Nunes, too. I don't know much about Felicia Spencer. I'd love to see her pull off the upset. I think it would be fantastic for the sport. I mean, to see this girl come out of essentially nowhere. I mean,
see her go on and win and then fight some dudes.
That would 100% never happen? What are your odds on that? Where's that in your notebook?
I mean, there's so much limbo in the UFC because after this event, it really goes into limbo because of every weight class. If you go down the list, So, like, if you start at men's flyweight, it's 125. Henry Cejudo was the champion.
Mm-hmm.
Men's bantamweight, Henry Cejudo was the champion, which
Right.
I think there's a big bantamweight fight on this tonight.
Two of them.
Tomorrow night.
Two of them. Two huge bantamweight fights.
There's a few of them, actually. But we'll get to a couple of those.
Yeah.
Still, a lot of these fighters are still quarantined in other countries. So a lot of these weight classes are getting tied up. Like featherweight's tied up because Volkanovski is Australian, so he can't leave Australia.
Okay.
55, Khabib is tied up because he can't leave Russia. Then you go.
So you won't see these people fight anytime soon
until these travel bans are lifted.
Right.
And then, like, Cejudo was champion of 2 weight classes and just retired on the spot.
Gone.
At 25 and 35.
How old was he?
I think he was like 32.
Just didn't want to do it anymore?
He just wanted to retire on top.
Well,
so he was an Olympic champion, 2-time UFC champion, defended both belts once, and then decided to go out on top. He beat the best bantamweight, in my opinion, of all time in Dominic Cruz, and then went out on top.
Well, tomorrow night, this UFC 250, in addition to Nunez and Spencer, it looks like tomorrow night's going to be a huge night for the bantamweight class because we have 3 fights all on the main card, including one of them being the co-main headline between Cody Garbrandt and Rafael Asenako. Is that correct?
I think it's Asuncao.
Asuncao? And we also have Aljamain Sterling and Corey Sandhagen, and then Eddie Wineland and Sean O'Malley.
Long Island's own.
Which one?
Monkmaster. Aljamain Sterling.
Okay. So, huge night tomorrow night for the bantamweight weight class. We're going to find out a lot about what direction that's headed.
Both of those 2 fights, if Dominic Cruz is still in the mix, obviously, but I don't know if he's going to want to fight any of these guys. And then, so it's kind of like a round robin between those 4 men right there, and in the co-main and the Aljamain Sterling fight.
Out of the 3 fights tomorrow, all in the bantamweight weight class, the winners, they're going to move on, you would assume, to what? Like another number 1 contender fight after this?
Yeah, it could be like.
Or is one of the fights tomorrow night, if one of them absolutely dominates their fight, I'm talking about like absolutely shows no flaws, would they automatically get a title shot in their next fight?
So the belt is vacant right now, so I don't know what their full plans are to do about that. I don't know if they fully vacated that title yet.
Mm-hmm.
But that'll be a development because I don't know if either the winner of this fight will then fight someone else.
Okay. But either way, tomorrow night's a huge night for the bantamweight weight class.
Yeah.
Huge night. I mean, when you have 3 fights in that weight class,
especially
all
when
on the main
like
card.
I said, it's one of the only weight classes that is alive within America that you can make a title fight.
Well, both Nunez and Spencer. I mean, Nunez is from Brazil, I believe, and Spencer's Canadian.
She trains out of Florida.
Okay, so she's been in the States the last couple of months.
Yeah, she trains at American Top Team in Florida.
Huge night tomorrow night, UFC 250.
But also at bantamweight, Sean O'Malley there, Sugar Sean, 11-0. He's the 25-year-old phenom at the bantamweight division. So with a win there, he's not fighting a schmuck. He's fighting Eddie Wineland, who used to be a champion at WEC back in the day, who's got way more experience, but obviously it goes a long way against a young kid coming up. So that's a fight. That's the fight of the night, I think.
This is probably one of the better cards I've seen during the quarantine, right? I mean, it's a pretty good card considering that not a lot of these fighters.
The Tony Ferguson card was big.
Okay. So but looking at
this,
that
that one was planned for before quarantine and then it got pushed. So like I feel like the product was hurt a little bit because some of these guys have been training for like instead of 6 weeks, they were training for like 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Sean O'Malley will be the performer of the night. That's a huge person to watch on this card.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's gonna be super interesting to see tomorrow. We're gonna get a lot of information going forward about what direction the bantamweight weight class is gonna go. The 3 winners that come out of that weight class tomorrow night. You know, we just don't know what UFC's plans are. We don't know what the next steps are going to be in terms of these guys getting a title shot, a number 1 contender spot. We don't know. So, but I guarantee you we'll know a lot more after tomorrow night when the dust settles after these fights. Exciting stuff. It's good to just have live sports. I mean, just something to watch. You know, obviously we don't have baseball, football coming back, hopefully on time in September. It's good to have something to watch. I mean, even though this is pay-per-view, you got to pay for it, but it's good to watch it and just have it. I enjoyed the other night watching the Tyrone Woodley fight last Saturday.
Even though Tyrone didn't show up at all.
Did not show up at all. Yeah, it was super, super weird showing from him. He just didn't show up. Back-to-back losses for him now. Lost the title and then lost his next match.
Title fight looked the same way. Sometimes it happens like when these guys have one foot out the door, like Woodley's been doing a lot of other things off out of the octagon, like commentating, being an analyst.
Almost like Daniel Cormier.
Yeah, but Cormier's still kind of kept that passion for fighting, I think. But he's also just so brilliant as an analyst that he just can't, turn that down.
Right.
But Woodley is doing some of those stuff, and he's also like a full-blown like SoundCloud rapper. Like he has multiple mixtapes out there.
Oh wow!
So
any good?
Yeah, for someone who's supposed to be training, he's pretty good at rapping.
Pretty good.
It's kind of like a sneaky like Damian Lillard, how he's like good at both.
Yeah.
But
kind of like low-key good at rapping and also a top-tier athlete in the NBA.
Sometimes it happens with these guys. They get complacent with where they're at, or they just have one foot out the door and their mind isn't fully.
Right.
They're not hungry.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that his mind was in the right state of mind after losing that title. He held on to that for a while, didn't he?
And once they get a little bit of money too, that could be a thing too.
Yeah, it changes a lot. But exciting stuff tomorrow night. UFC 250 live in Las Vegas. No fans, but it'll be good to watch. Basically, I'm going to pick Nunes. Billy gave you his pick of the night. He's going Sean O'Malley. You think he's going to be the winner tomorrow night? Really
he'll get one of the performance bonuses.
And you're going with Nunes? That's going to be your pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the easy one.
And then Cody. Cody's been around a while.
And then, of course, I got to root for Long Island's own Aljamain Sterling.
Okay. Good stuff. Those are our predictions for UFC 250. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. We'll get some more clarity in terms of the bantamweight class. Most likely Amanda Nunes dominates again, but we'll see if Felicia Spencer can give her a run for her money. I know Billy texted me the other day. We exchange text messages back and forth throughout the week as we get ready to record. And one of the things that he texted me this week was that he had some interesting baseball stats to drop on me. He was very excited about these baseball stats. I don't know what he means by this. I'm very curious. He likes to save these things for the show.
I went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, okay.
So
always dangerous. Always dangerous.
I was scrolling through my Instagram feed, and I saw some posts about Cal Ripken Jr. and some stat. I don't even remember what the stat is now because
not the stat that we all know, I'm assuming.
That stat is all the way at the back of the rabbit hole. So I don't remember that. It's gone. Okay.
The Cal Ripken Jr. stat.
Yeah,
it's not the 3,000 consecutive games, I'm assuming, right?
No, that's the given.
That's like the given.
It was something talking about his greatness, and I was just trying to think I don't remember him being that good. How do you remember Cal Ripken? What do you remember about Cal Ripken Jr.?
I don't remember a lot about Cal Ripken Jr. I was born in 1993.
That's part of the problem.
He also played for the Orioles. I was like 10 years old.
See, like my interpretation of him was he just showed up for work every day.
Well, that's what you're going to get when you show up for 2,632 consecutive games.
I was very wrong, though.
On what?
His performance and his solidarity in the Hall of Fame. Numbers?
Are you about to come onto this podcast and try to make an argument that Cal Ripken Jr. should not be in the Hall of Fame?
No, I'm saying he's a full-blown, bona fide Hall of Famer.
Thank God.
Full-blown. I didn't really question that beforehand.
Okay.
Until, I was just trying to gauge how good of a player he was at first, This is what got me going in the rabbit hole.
Don't you have to be a really good player for your team to want you to play 2,632 consecutive games for them? If you stink, are they going to be like, well, send him out there again because he's got this streak going?
You could be average. You could just do the minimum.
You could be average.
He
had over 3,000 hits.
You're pulling up his stats. But that could be accumulated by just playing for forever.
I don't think 3,000 hits.
You do
need to play a long time.
It was ignorance on my end, okay? So scroll down to the bottom there. See his stats. All Hall of Fame bona fide stats. And
he was an all-star essentially every single year that he played.
Perennial all-star.
But every year except his rookie year.
That's popularity and fan voted, so I don't go by that. But 430-something home runs or something like that.
He finished his career.
His lifetime average was
yes.
average, but
his lifetime batting average was 276, which is above average slightly. 276 is above average.
Marginal. Yeah, for the Hall of Fame. This is what got my wheels turning about benchmarks to be in the Hall of Fame, and then a few other things too. So now, pull up in another tab Derek Jeter stats. Before you look at them, though, who do you think you would take?
Who do I think would be the better player if I didn't already know the stats?
Yeah.
I mean, Derek Jeter certainly gets more of the hype.
Yeah, like, going into this, before you click that, like, who do you think has the better numbers? Because they're really close. Really damn close.
Well, I mean, this is difficult because I know that Derek Jeter also happened to win 5 championships. I mean, Derek Jeter's whole nostalgia and really his whole mystique is how good he was in clutch situations in the playoffs, which Cal Ripken playing on the Orioles.
He did have one World Series appearance. Yeah. I think a win also, but in that World Series, I think he had like a 150 average, Cal Ripken Jr. So clutchness, yes, you're correct, Derek Jeter. And then, like, obviously some of his highlights with his glove and grit and determination and just being a all-around role model, you think of Derek Jeter. But his bottom line numbers, his average is higher. His hits are, I think, a couple hundred hits lower. Obviously didn't hit for power the way Ripken did. He didn't have close to 430 home runs. I think he crossed home plate a couple more times with more runs. And then obviously didn't have even close to the RBIs that Cal Ripken Jr. had.
He had a better batting average.
Yeah, what did he have, like a 310, something like that? Yeah.
310. He had 1,300 RBIs, where Cal Ripken had 1,600. He had 358 stolen bases. Cal Ripken Jr. had 36.
Barely ever stole
Not a
base.
fast guy at all.
Yeah, so Jeter was better on the base pads all around.
Yeah. I mean, listen, two excellent players. I think a lot of Derek Jeter's mystique comes from the fact that he played for the Yankees.
Did you think it was this close?
I knew Cal Ripken Jr. was a really, really good player. I knew he was a Hall of Fame player. Obviously, the first thing you think of. All right, so let's do this. What's the first thing you think of when you think of Derek Jeter? Championships?
Yeah, winning and
winning. Right. So that's all you got to say.
He was kind of like just the all-star, the perennial all-star.
Yeah.
He was the face of baseball.
Face of baseball, right. The face of baseball on baseball's #1 team at a time when they were the best team in professional sports. I mean, the Yankees were and still continue to be global. They're not just in New York. They're not just in the United States of America. The Yankees are a global organization. There's no way around it. And Derek Jeter was the face of that. Cal Ripken Jr. was the face of the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, he's an excellent player. Showed up for work every day.
Probably still is, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think Cal Ripken Jr. is definitely up there. But,
so,
I mean, if you're going to get into, like, certain things
comparing the two of them, what I look at, a big stat today, I don't know if so much when Ripken was playing, is WAR, or wins above replacement. And Baseball Reference even shows where they scored in the MVP.
Yeah, they have everything like listed right there.
So, I think Ripken was a 2-time MVP. And so I started looking at this year here, 1984. He had a 10.0 wins above replacement and was 27th in the MVP racing. Where, if you go by WAR there.
Are you trying to find out who won?
So Willie Hernandez won. You know who that is? I don't know who that is.
No, he didn't win. I think it was. I don't know.
That's the National League. So American League, Willie Hernandez from the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
Ripken wins above replacement, head above heels.
So you're a big WAR guy.
I think it's an important stat.
Okay.
And this just got my wheels turning. I go deeper and deeper inside the rabbit hole, and I go to look at what I wanted to find. What this all, I may have your wheels turning in the wrong direction right now, but what I was really trying to get to was what's the best statistical season that you've ever seen?
From a player?
Yeah.
Probably Miguel Cabrera's Triple Crown.
That's where my mind went first.
Yeah, that would be probably it's got to be up there, right, on the list.
So
I mean, Triple Crown. It's only happened.
that's directly where my mind went.
Yeah.
Was I wrong? Because I'll read off
The
his
way you're
stats for you.
asking the question to yourself, I'm going to assume that you were incorrect.
He obviously he was good in all areas, so it's a Triple Crown, but you have to weigh that higher. But his wins above replacement was a 7.5. So like usually 7 and higher is, where the MVP of the league will be.
Mm-hmm.
But a double-digit wins above replacement stat, huge. And there's, of all the years of baseball, of all the players, not that many people have ever, it happens a lot, but not that many people reach that.
Right.
That's an elite status, is the double-digit wins above replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And, that first year was the year that popped out to me, much with Rich, and because he just seemed like he was an unstoppable force that year.
Yeah.
But a 7.5 WAR, only a 330 average, 44 home runs, and 139 RBIs.
Only.
As we're getting an alert on our iPhones
emergency
about the inside
alert.
curfew.
Now, just a little insight into the production prior to the show. Billy wanted to make sure that our phones were on silent.
Mine
so
was.
That,
I think
as
that
was mine.
overrides it. I think that overrides it.
It does override it. Absolutely. It's an emergency alert. Well, we were told beforehand by Ralphie, nonetheless, and Miko, our intern, to shut off our phones and make sure that we didn't hear any dinging, because apparently in episode 1, titled Beer Can Chicken, now streaming on Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Just a little plug. On the first episode, and Google Play for you Android losers, apparently you heard dinging throughout the first episode, which I didn't recognize, and I listened to the podcast a couple times before we actually posted
on, so we didn't hear it in the room, but the mics picked it up.
We're oblivious to the world. We're oblivious to Billy's opinions on war, all that stuff. But of course, today we come prepared. We shut the phones off. We kill the ringer, and we get an emergency alert right to our
blame
phones.
Donald Trump.
A lot of that going around. So the emergency alert to our phone is throwing a little wrinkle into your war plans here. Yeah. So
I start looking up some of the greatest seasons.
Can we just make a little sidebar here for a second? I think I might have just thought of a good title for the second episode. Billy's War Games. Eh?
That is pretty good.
That's not bad, isn't it? War Games?
Mine was going to be Rich Warnock's a huge disappointment.
Well, that could be the title of every episode that we ever do on the Garage Party
podcast.
Podcast.
Right. So maybe we don't pass up this war one.
Yeah, no, I think War Games.
So names that kept coming up.
I can't get into this. War? The guy had 49 home runs, 143 RBIs, and however many. I mean, I can't.
Barry Bonds.
That's another rabbit hole. You're just you're taking us from one rabbit
hole
to another.
It was a rabbit hole.
Oh my God!
Another name.
But this is like a steroid rabbit hole that we're about to jump down now, and I don't want to do this. Do you know what this is going to be like?
Babe Ruth.
What are you listing to us here? What is this?
I'm trying to
find this list?
The best statistical season that ever happened in Major League Baseball.
And then compare it to the war that Cal Ripken Jr. had? Is that what you're...
No. I'm way past Cal.
Cal's done. That's
what got me in the rabbit hole. That was the explanation there.
So Cal's portion of this is done?
Yeah, it's gone. He lost. He's gone.
Okay, yeah, he lost. 2,632 games, over 3,000 hits. He's finished. His time on the Garage Party podcast has come to an end.
He didn't have the best statistical season ever.
All right, so you right now, so that the fans are caught up, they've been thrown a loop. We got the emergency alert going. Right now, you are listing to us the best statistical seasons of all time.
I don't know if I found the exact one, but I'm damn close.
Gotta be. I mean, with some of the names you're throwing out at me.
So right now, I'm leading towards Babe Ruth, 1923.
Okay.
So, obviously, I can't just get on the phone and call someone who watched it firsthand, for obvious reasons.
Well, terrible at math, but most likely you're correct.
It was 98 years ago, and then they'd have to be old enough to remember it. And then
you're looking at like a 120-year-old.
Yeah. Are there many of those?
If they are, they're certainly not coming on the Garage Party podcast. I can assure you that. Yeah.
Probably just about as likely as Johnny Chan. But the other stat I've been looking at intensely is OPS plus. It's on base percentage plus slugging.
I hate
He just hates numbers.
I hate these zealous stats. I can't get it. There's too
All right.
many of them.
All right.
Too many of them. I feel like, you know what you are? You're like, this is like
I'll boil it
recreating
down to
Moneyball.
you. I'll boil it down to you. I think Babe Ruth, 1923, so far to me, had one of the best statistical seasons of all time. Another pivot and a rabbit hole I found
Another rabbit hole.
is in all those MVP races, this one name kept coming up. His name was Bob Feller. He was a pitcher for the Cleveland Indians.
He
You ever heard that
certainly
name?
was. I love Bob Feller, yes. He was known back in the day for throwing a pitch faster than a motorcycle, going like 100 miles an hour.
So
Very nice man, too. My dad met him when they went to the Cooperstown Hall of Fame, signed a ball. Lovely man. Supposedly a true gentleman. They interviewed him on SNY one day when the Mets were playing the Indians. He's since passed on now, but a very well name in the Cleveland community.
6 or 7 seasons into his career, Pearl Harbor happens
Yes.
on a Sunday, December 7th, 1941.
That's absolutely correct.
Tuesday, he's in the enlistment office, goes to battle in the Navy, serves as a chief petty officer, and leads 24 men on the U.S. Alabama.
USS Alabama, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Not the one from Crimson Tide? You ever see that movie?
No.
Ser-
But he went to like Panama and everything. Like he was full blown.
He was in on
He was a
it.
war hero.
He was in
yeah.
on it. Okay.
Then we dropped the nuke on Hiroshima. 15 days later, he gets discharged on August 22nd, 1945. August 24th, 1945, goes out and throws a complete game for the Indians. 4-2 win.
4-2 victory.
Just like that.
It's unbelievable.
Faces 37 batters, strikes out 12.
Different generation. Different generation. Now that I can get on board with. That's actually a fun fact. Absolutely fascinating that somebody. I mean, this is what they did back in the day. A lot of these guys went off to war.
There was a few that got drafted too. Like I was looking, Ted Williams got drafted.
Ted Williams, yeah,
Comes back the season after getting drafted and wins Triple Crown.
unbelievable. These guys were unbelievable. And
And
back then,
that's
I
three
mean,
3 years during his prime. His war before
Right.
he left for war was a 10.4. Try and make that rhyme even more.
War Games. That's the perfect title for this episode.
And then he comes back and it's a 10.6. So he missed 3 or 4 of his prime years to go
Yep.
fight a battle.
Yeah, and still ended up with
Feller as well.
yeah, but I mean Ted Williams also ended up with the most hits up until Pete Rose.
Yeah.
Correct?
And the
I believe.
still the highest batting average ever recorded.
Highest batting average ever, yeah. I mean, so, these are very interesting facts. This I can get on board with. I can't get on board with your OPS and your wars and your floops
It got your
and all
wheels
these.
turning, though, about best statistical season of all time.
Yeah, it certainly did. I mean, there's obviously a lot of them.
You just don't want to do the legwork and look at it.
Oh, God. The 23 Babe Ruth, it's a great season. Although, that's when the Yankees
Barry
made.
Bonds was right there, too.
Again, a rabbit hole that we can go down.
Steroids or not, I'm not big on that.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause even
talent's talent, but
I guess it's hard to tell what year he was on it and off it, or if he was on it his whole career.
if you look at some of the videos of him in his rookie year and his first couple seasons in Major League Baseball, he certainly looked a lot different than he did 5 years into his Major League career. So I mean, it's you can narrow down somewhat of a timeline when he started juicing, but I don't know that these stats. And listen, I love baseball. It's hard to say if it's my favorite sport because I just love football so much, but I can't get on board with like all these different stats. I'm very basic where I want to know how many your average home runs, RBIs, walks, very important.
Well, the big thing with
WAR,
me was why
okay, I
pulled
can
up-
get on board with WAR. That's
looking
important.
at that stat and then the OPS plus, because
Yeah.
OPS plus, what it does is it accounts for the geometry of the ballpark and adjusts.
WAR
it.
does?
Yeah. No, OPS plus.
OPS plus, okay.
So to compare a player like Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds to one another, you have to look at something like that too.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, I really like. I didn't realize Miguel Cabrera had almost 3,000 hits. He's only 200 hits away. Yeah, I can't really get on board with a lot
With
of
a
these
shortened
stats.
season, he
I
has to
mean,
play
you
probably
can go
another
on.
3 years.
Yeah, you can go on Baseball Reference, and a lot of these stats are good, but then it really gets into some.
A rabbit hole.
Some
I said it was a
wild
rabbit
stuff.
hole. You know,
I mean, they got stats for everything on this Baseball Reference here. Absolutely everything. It's crazy. I like to just keep it as basic as possible. I don't need to know all these crazy stats taken in, like how many times he viewed a fastball that was on the inside corner of the plate that he hooked to left field. I can't.
What's really a rabbit hole is they have all the fielding stats, which I don't even know what some of those are.
I just scrolled past that.
It's what like every time they get the ball hit.
Well, here you go. Let's do a little test here. So, one of the fielding stats. I'll start you out with an easy one. E.
Errors.
Okay. Yeah, I really threw you a softball there to start us off with. I would be absolutely shocked if you can get this one. Absolutely shocked. Okay. RTOT/year.
RTOT/year.
Yep.
Routine plays. Something about routine plays.
Not even close.
Are you gonna tell me?
Total zone, total fielding runs above average per 1,200 innings.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't even know what that sentence means either. It gives you a little description. The number of runs above or below average the fielder was worth per 1,200 innings. How do they calculate what a fielder is worth? What is that stat? I don't know. This is where they get crazy. This one's a little bit easier. DP.
Double plays?
Yeah, double plays turned.
Even that, like, how do you give someone a double play? Is it you have to be part of the double play, or do you have to?
I guess you're just involved in it, right?
Yeah, I guess, because how often do you have a double play where it's one person handling both outs?
Here we go. Let's try this one. RF/9.
No idea.
That is
something per 9 innings.
Yes, that's correct. But what's the RF?
Routine flies.
Routine flies, huh? Range factor.
Range factor.
Range factor. Putouts and assists / innings played. Ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. This makes me want to throw my Mac through the window. That's what these stats do. This is the rabbit hole you went down? Yeah. I'm angry after 5 minutes of looking at this.
I mean, you see my hieroglyphics on my screen?
Look at this. You came prepared with these notes. I like your Bob Feller sub-note right there.
That was the important one.
Huge. Absolutely astonishing. A lot of these guys went off to the war. You think about what their careers would have been had that not even been the case.
Yeah. Feller lost out on 4 years. Ted Williams.
Yeah. So many countless others, too. I mean, so many of those guys went off to war. Wild stuff. Absolutely wild stuff. Well, before Billy took us down this rabbit hole, got me all annoyed about what the hell is this again? This is, just ridiculous. Range factor. They could take their range factor and stick it where the sun don't shine. That's how I feel about range factor. Yeah, not a fan.
There's one other update.
What do we got?
We got one other conversation to have. We're close on the garage.
We're close on the garage. Right, that's right. You told me that this morning. I got a phone call from you this morning. Close on the garage means what? Within a week?
I would hope so.
Okay. So you're hopeful that within a week
I thought it would have been
we'll be in the garage.
Like, I thought I was that close, but
wow. Okay. All right. I like it.
I mean, if I don't hear anything from Super.
Did you let the people know that we are the Garage Party Podcast? Maybe that pulls some influence.
You're right. I probably should have mentioned
Drop that name.
Yeah, you're right.
We're big time now. We have 2 episodes down. Just finished our 2nd episode. This is our 2nd episode. We discussed war and Johnny Chan. If that doesn't get us the garage, I don't know what will. We got donuts. National Donut Day.
We did. Doology.
Thanks to Doology today for the donuts. Took a ride out to Lynbrook.
Chain, right? Is there one in Farmingdale?
There's 3 locations. There's one in. Let me get this right because they did a good job. They really did a good job with the donuts today. Shout out to Doology. I want to make sure that we get this correct. So, their locations listed.
I feel like there is one in Farmingdale over by
Lynbrook,
like Croxley's and all that.
Let's make sure. We'll go to their website. We'll go to their. Make sure that we're getting them the correct shout out. Okay, so here you go. Lynbrook, Babylon, and Atlantic Highlands, which I believe is Jersey.
Okay, so not Farmingdale.
So 3 locations for Doology.
Oh, I'm thinking of Flux Donuts. So Doology, ignore me.
Yeah.
Just listen to Rich.
Doology, Lynbrook, Babylon, and Atlantic Highlands. And they can do – so the way I did it today, I went up there. You place your order on DoorDash. You go right up to the door. They bring out the box. give it to you, and that's it. Great job for National Donut Day. I was there early this morning, picked it up. Absolutely delicious donuts. They really hooked it up today. Hopefully, I mean, again, we discussed this in episode 1. I hope, Billy claims we're close on the garage. It's possible we could do the show from in there. If not, we'll keep doing it right here from the couch. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. Episode 2 in the books. Once again, make sure you follow us. Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, and Google Play, which I will never remember, just out of spite for the Android people. I will never remember that. So from now on, whether it's episode 2 or episode 200, you're going to have to say Google Play because I'm never going to remember that.
I think from now on we could just say anywhere you get your podcasts. Cause
you think?
I think we're basically everywhere.
Anywhere you get your podcast. It has a better sound to it. I like it. Anywhere you get your podcast, you can get Garage Party.
Yeah.
How about that? That sound nice?
Anywhere in the world. If you have a phone, if you don't have a phone, if you have a computer, if anything.
All you really need is some type of internet connection,
us.
and you can listen to us.
Yeah, if you search Garage Party Podcast on anything.
Yeah. Also, I want to shout this out, too, because not only did Doology do a great job hooking up the donuts today, you can also...
He's really trying to get the sponsor.
I don't know why... Yeah, for sure. I don't know why you would want to do this, but if you want to, you can go to our YouTube and actually watch me eat one of the donuts. We filmed it right before we began this pod.
There's a vlog.
There's a vlog. And if you want to watch Billy eat pizza... You can watch that as well.
I didn't record myself eat the pizza, but...
Just make it.
Yeah, just
make
it. Okay. It up.
All right. It's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to watch us make pizza and eat a Doology donut, be sure to go to our YouTube. Is that where you're going to throw that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to be on our YouTube. We're going to try to do this. I want to try to do it maybe like 3 or 4 times a week. We do a different vlog, just kind of give you guys an update on what's going on. Basically in our lives, we really have absolutely nothing to do. You're just going to see us walk around our homes because we're in quarantine. And if you're somewhat interested in that, maybe you should get checked out. Some mental help if you want to watch us eat a donut and make pizza. But if you are interested in it...
It might get more views than the podcast.
It's very possible. If you are interested in it, go to our YouTube, check out our vlog.
Which is also Garage Party Podcast.
Also Garage Party Podcast. And again, be sure to subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. We'll be back with episode 3 on Friday. We'll be sure to drop that. With Buffalo Trace Whiskey. We'll be sure to have a bottle of that. I'll be sure to have a bottle of that because I lost the bet to Billy. I really should have saw that one coming. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. But anyway, that's episode 2. 2 in the books. We'll see you for episode 3 in a week. I'm Rich Warnock.
I'm Billy Pop Manuel.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.